Today we have an interview with Brad Jackson, the foggy author of the Time Clones series. And what do bingo cards, AI scams, and authors have to do with one another? I will tell you all about it and more in this week's Indie Author News Show. I'm your host Ilse, and together with my co-producer Hala, I bring you the latest news about ongoing and upcoming online and offline writing events, books published by indie authors, hybrid authors, and small publishers, like inimitable books from our previous show, and loads more. Let's dive into this week's news. AutoCrit is holding their 7th annual short story challenge. You can join the challenge up until May 26th. AutoCrit has the theme ready for you. All you need to do is write that story. Yeah, all you need to do? I wish you good luck if you decide to participate. Grand prize winners will receive a customizable printable poster and a nice prize pack. If you are not already an AutoCrit member, you will automatically receive a free account with additional resources to help you in this process. You can find the link with more information in the show notes below. If you'd like to participate in online writing sprints on YouTube and Twitch, be sure to watch till the end of the video, because we have an extensive overview for you of all the authors who do live writing sprints. Shanon has released her newest book, Starling and the Moonblade, on May 4th. It is a spicy, forbidden love fae romance of oathbound duty and desire, and it is part of the Bound to the Elements collection. It is the second book in this collection. A forbidden love, a sacred oath, a silence that could swallow them both. In the Moongarden household, silence is law, obedience is survival, and even love can become a death sentence. Cyrilda has spent years hiding two dangerous truths. One, the noise in her soul that refuses to be tamed, and the other, her forbidden love for Baruch-Khan, the great Hanim's son. He has always been her protector, her longing, and the one person she can never have. But when Baruch-Khan is chosen to become the Moonblade, everything changes. Bound by a sacred oath to serve his matriarch above all else, he is forbidden from giving his heart to anyone. To break that vow is to die. To keep it is to lose Cyrilda forever. Now, with Baruch-Khan bound to a fate that could place him forever beyond her reach, Cyrilda must decide whether to bury her heart or risk everything by following it. Starling and the Moonblade is a romantasy novella filled with forbidden love, aching devotion, and moonlit longing. The tropes you will find in this book: forbidden love, of course, protector to lovers, oathbound duty, pining and longing, and fae romance. It contains mature themes, a sensual intimacy, and the emotional weight of fantasy love stories where hearts are tested and happily ever afters are earned. The Bound to the Elements books are connected by theme, not reading order. Each novella is a standalone romance featuring a human heroine and her happily ever after with a fae hero of one of the 8 elements. Before we get into my interview with Brad Jackson, we here at the Indie Author News Show have a funny thing to share with you this time. The AI author scam Bingocards. With all that's been going on with AI in the author space, Electric Lit has made a bingo card specifically for this. Here at the Indie Author News Show, we could check off a few of these. Lauding books we've never written. I mean, sure, I'd love to talk about my books, but how can you know anything about my characters and specifically say that you love the way they do A or B, while you can't have read my book because I'm still writing it, immediately drawn to your book. How exactly? A signed professional marketeer. Really? And you all know this one. They want to make sure you have received their previous email. Which ones of these can you check off? Let us know in the comments below. You can find the link to the bingo card in the show notes. In our previous show, we told you about Brett's book, Time Clones Book 2. Have you checked it out? Let us know in the comments what your favorite parts of the book are. As a special treat, we have an interview with Brett in which we get into how Brett got into writing and into the Time Clones series. Dear audience, today I have Brett Jackson with me, who you might also know as the Foggy author. And Brett has written several books, including 2 standalone books, are Kamino Diary and Dreamwaves, but also the Time Clone series. And in that series, Brett has just released his second book. So we are diving into everything about Brett.
Wow, so everything Brett, about me. Oh,
yeah.
Where do I start?
Yeah. Well, let's get you started with how you got into writing.
Wow, that's a big question. Growing up, my father would read us stories, and he used to include the stories, include the voices of the little characters. And he felt he should go with them. And with that, I've always been a storyteller. And I love making the voices that go with the characters as I read them. You'll see this in little videos such as the chapters that I read for Time Clones Book 1, where you'll have a couple of Londoners and a couple of rather posh people, and I style the voices around that.
Awesome.
To answer your question, I started writing fully during COVID. I'm very techie person, and I was running a computer business at the time. But like many things during COVID and lockdown, it wasn't able to carry on. But that's okay, because I closed it down. And I thought, yay, I've got this opportunity to pursue my love of story making. And now I'm here writing books and appearing on a podcast. This is great.
Awesome. That's great to hear. Yeah, COVID changed so many things for so many people. And it's weird how things can go like that. And the opportunities you get from sometimes losing a job or being offered something completely different than what you're used to can be really amazing. And I'm glad that it worked out for you and that you are writing right now. You have written 2 standalone books I saw. One is about your journey together with Karen. Can you tell us a little bit more about that before we dive into other things?
Sure. So one day, my wife came up to me and she said, "Do you fancy going on a walk?" I said, "Why not? We'll do that." We were living in Yorkshire at the time in England, quite hilly, and so we thought, well, what we'll do is we'll have a bit of a go round the Yorkshire Dales, put some hiking gear on. We watched, we bought some really good walking socks, very specialized. They have a silk liner that hug your feet to draw away the moisture, and then a second liner which is a wool that pulls all of that moisture out, and this is a great way of making sure you do not get blisters on your feet.
Wow.
Feet care on the Camino is the utmost important. And so we walked from after watching a zillion different videos of other people who've done it. We went on a walk, and this book here is our Camino diary. And what do I mean by that? We every day wrote down in handwritten diaries what sort of what we've been through. Because it's not just a walk, but it's a spiritual thing as well. I'm a Christian, but I don't really go around talking too much about God to anyone. So you'll see my entries in the diary as, oh my goodness, why on earth am I doing this today? Everything hurts. I got stung by a bee. I got kicked. We got locked out of one of our accommodations, and fire alarm went off, and all sorts of amazing, funny stories. And then you hear a completely different stance from my wife, whose comments also come together as God is wonderful, and we are so blessed to be on this amazing walk. And it was incredible. We met so many people from everywhere around the world. We experienced different foods, different cultures. The funniest bit for me was the fact that my wife spent six to 8 weeks learning Spanish. I've never spoken Spanish in my life, and the very first thing she did when we got there was say, Brett, could you do me a favor and just order some food? I'm like, I haven't got a clue. So there you go. And so what I did, I took lots of photos along the way, and we smushed them all together. And inside this book, we've got literally everything we learnt, including how to say specific phrases in Spanish in a really easy, broken down way, so that you can read it straight off the page. A kit list, and every single grueling day of our 540 plus mile trip from France to Spain. It was incredible. And although I sit there and say it's grueling, I would definitely do it again.
Wow. Incredible. That sounds like an amazing journey you went on. And it is such a wonderful thing to write a book about it as well. And to capture all your memories, both from you and from Karen, in that book, and to have that for others to enjoy as well. Going from such a book to the Time Clone series, let me ask you 2 questions about it. What attracted you in that genre, and how did you go from writing a journey book, let me put it that way, to a completely different thing, a novel? Because those are 2 completely different sorts of book to write, types of books to write.
Well, actually, it's in the wrong order. Because I started writing Dreamwaves, which was a very small poetry book, just to test the waters. And I love writing. I've recently found out it's called flash poetry, where I wake up at silly o'clock in the morning, and I just go and something amazing's happened, and I don't know how I do it. It just goes. And then I wrote Time Clones Book 1. The reason why I wrote it was because I thought, you know what, I want to try something. I've always loved science fiction. I'm very into things such as Terminator, Back to the Future, Men in Black, that sort of thing. And I love how if Back to the Future had books, I would read them all the time. I would absolutely love that. So I started. I thought, do you know what? I've got this opportunity to actually write something. And all around me, I kept seeing all these different things. So I see. I went abroad, and I saw an airport scanner. I went to the hospital and I saw an X-ray scanner. I went to. I have a 3D printer, and I thought, oh, I wonder if I could smush those all together. And I thought, do you know what? And I created blueprints. Well, not very good, but a rough sketch, let's call it, for a cloning machine.
Wow.
And basically, the concept is you have a bed
Okay.
that you lay on. You have several rings. One will come along and scan your bones. One will scan you underneath your clothes like an airport scanner would, etc., etc. Then I added a little bit of extras where I would take the brain waves of that person and store them in a digital storage unit. And then in the future, you've got a chance to be able to 3D print flesh, bones, blood, and all that other stuff out of ovine DNA. Now, ovine, ovine, if for anybody who's watching doesn't know, is actually the same as pigs. And for anybody who does know, we as a human species in the healthcare tend to use sometimes pig organs because they're the closest to human organs. And I thought this would be great. So I want a chance to be able to reconstruct a person out of pig DNA. And I thought, well, we'll go further than that. If you can do it now and do one from one to the other, one from one table to another table, why not do it from one table, fast forward 100 years, and put it on the same table? And this way, it means that my character is present in 2038, and also present in 2008.
Wow.
And as you go through the book, you'll see that there are all sorts of different things that happen. Originally, it starts off by our main character, Zach. He's at school. He's 10 years old. All of a sudden, they get rushed out because something major is happening. Helicopters all over his hometown, away from where his school is. As the dam starts to split and floods the entire town, and there is this massive rescue effort. Fast forward several years to his 40th birthday. He's not enjoying his birthdays because he's had this experience in the past. His mum was accused of blowing up the dam. His dad is missing, presumed dead, and something amazing happens in the future that I've written in 2038. Zach owns a bookshop, a very rare thing to happen because trees are now a protected species. And so books have to be sold, especially under license. And he gets a delivery, and it turns out to be his old journal that he was given on his 10th birthday. So he opens it up, excited to read what's happened, and then finds secret writing inside that leads him on an adventure to find a laboratory that clones him and takes him on a journey to change the past, the present, and the future.
Wow. Okay. That's interesting, because from what I understand from time travel, I am not that good in it. If you you have to be careful with things you change in the past, because it has repercussions, of course, in the future. But also things about meeting yourself and things like that. How did you go about that?
Well, because there are two of the same person, it breaks some of the rules. You see, there is something called the grandfather paradox, where somebody would say, right, okay, if I time travel back to your past, and I meet your grandfather, for example, and I sit there and say, no, you don't need to go getting involved in with that lady. Don't worry, it's fine, no problem. You wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
There would be somebody else instead, perhaps interviewing me. When Zach is in the past, because one of them is 2038 and one of them is 2008, if the one in 2008 let me try and get this without getting your viewers lost. If your 2038 original becomes a clone and then goes back to 2008, if anything happens to that clone, nothing happens to the original. And that's the most important thing. So, and yes, there are some things, as you've brought up, that can change. And that's where the holographic professor comes in. Holographic professor has a digital database of everything that originally happened in 2008. And when things changed, he informs everything that has happened up to date and all the changes to Zach in 2038. So they are, in a way, communicating with each other through the digital professor. And it's been amazing to write. I am, as I've said before, a very techie person. But I've also I've had experience in the past teaching internet service providers how to do stuff, set up their servers, that sort of thing. So very super techie. However, I've also worked with people with learning difficulties and helped them to understand why a mouse is called a mouse, why when they learn ABCs, does your keyboard become QWERTY, and then but in such a way that they can understand it without feeling like I'm treating them like an infant. And this is great because it's given me an opportunity to break down my storytelling in such a way that people enjoy the story without getting bogged down in the science. And that has really helped with a lot of reviews and a lot of happy people sat there saying, do you know what, I really enjoyed this story.
That's awesome. So you started with Time Clones Book 1, obviously. And we have Zach there doing his thing, going to the past. And then did you when you started with the first book, did you already know that it was going to be a trilogy, or was that something that evolved from writing the first book and finishing it?
I love this question. Nobody's ever actually asked it before. No, originally Time Clones Book 1 was supposed to be a standalone. I would love to be a multi-genre author. And so I rattled this book out and I thought, yeah, this is great, no problems. There is an ending. However, one comment made me sit there and think, do you know what? I can turn this into something bigger. And I'm really pleased I have, because it's been incredible writing the second book. Second book is based 100 years in the future, not just 40. So we go forward to 2138, where we have all sorts of unbelievable tech, differences in the world. And I took a bunch of ideas from Back to the Future, where in Back to the Future you see Doc Emmett Brown and Marty McFly. And Marty McFly skateboards up to Twin Pines Mall. And then
I remember something,
yeah, and then later on, because he's knocked down one of the trees, it's known as Lone Pine Mall for anyone who doesn't know. And I made sure what I did with my world building was I carried it on in that similar sort of fashion, but not the same. So what do I mean by that? In book 1, I start off with Appleton Hill. And then you've got New Haven is on top of Appleton Hill, which is where Zach goes to school. At the bottom you have Kistowich, which is where his home is, and to the side you have the dam. In the future, global warming has happened on a major scale. And Appleton Hill is now Appleton Island.
Wow.
Yes.
That's huge difference.
Absolutely massive. And you see Appleton Island has turned from beautiful, lush green land to a place where there are lorry containers that have been turned into homes for the residents. And there is such a thing. There is even crime in the past that's been investigated with a massive scheme to make loads and loads of money by building further and further up the hill and charging more and more for the money that more and more money for the ones that are right at the top, because at the bottom, what happens if the water rises? It's given me a chance to be able to do all sorts of changes. And I'm pleased I carried that on from book 1, because book 3 is going to absolutely blow your mind. In book 1, I did the time clones method, and at the end there's a fantastic ending with a clone army. And you want to read that? It's brilliant. In book 2 does time travel in a slightly different way. And we hear about a device that the professor has invented called the Latimer device. I wrote it, but I can't remember what it's for. Why did I call it Latimer? Anyway, you find out in the book. And the Latimer device is a small cube that's a bit like a fidget cube. And you type on these bits and bobs, and this beautiful blue shimmering door appears, and you walk through it from one time to another.
Wow.
But you also get the clone feel in there as well, because you get more clones in the same book. And in book 3, I've got so many ideas. It's going to be crazy. It will be the last one though, because I said I'd do a time travel trilogy, and then I plan on doing something with some of the characters, maybe in a different genre. Watch this space. We'll see what happens. I don't tend to give too much away for several reasons. 1, it keeps you hooked. 2, if I forget it, then you're not going to get the book.
Totally understandable.
Yeah.
Brett, we talked about the Time Clone series and your other 2 books. Let's take a quick look at how you got started publishing your books, because you self-publish your books.
I do.
How did you get into self-publishing?
Well, COVID again. I was originally aiming to become traditionally published. I have no formal training as a writer, just my brain and the fact that I don't have any rules boxing me in, which is great. So it means my creative expression is just everywhere. Unfortunately, we couldn't be everywhere during COVID, and when I went to speak to somebody at Penguin Random House, the meeting was cancelled because of social distancing. We all had to stay home. I didn't want to get arrested for going somewhere when. And I just turned around and I said to myself, you know what, I've got this book, I finished it, I'm not going to sit here and not do something. So I had a look around, watched a couple of YouTube videos, and I thought, and I submitted it to KDP.
Awesome.
And then I went a little bit further because at the time I was using a Mac. So I was writing it on Scrivener, and I edited on Vellum, formatted on Vellum, and Vellum gives you 5 different formats once you've done it. For Amazon, for Google Play, for Apple Books, for Barnes and Noble, so that's Nook, and for Kobo. So that's what I did. I distributed to all 5 of those. They're known as the Big 5, and I sold one book. The rest, one book on all the other platforms. All of the rest of my books, I've all sold on Amazon. So I've just stuck to Amazon. And yeah, it was an experience. I learned a lot. I'm still learning a lot. I read a million writing books. Stephen King's on writing is fantastic if you're new to writing. Talks to you about lots of different things. So, for example, Stephen King's first book, Carrie, he threw it in the bin, and his wife fished it out and said, I actually quite like this. I think you should do this. And then it talks about how he tried to traditionally publish. He hammered a nail on the wall. He put up his first rejection slip, then another and another and another, and eventually the nail fell out the wall. But that didn't stop him because he bought a bigger nail. Boom, 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 more rejection slips, and eventually, look at what's happened. Incredible.
Yeah.
Everyone knows who Stephen King is. And in a similar situation, I bought another book as well. It's called The Snowflake Method, and it's by Randy Ingemanson, and this really works well with my brain. So if you think of a triangle, and you think of a story, middle, beginning, and end, and then you fit in little bits around that, and eventually you've got lots and lots of bits and bobs that look a bit like a story snowflake. If you're confused as to what I mean, dear viewers, try making a list instead: beginning, middle, end, and then in those sections, add little bits. Oh, I'd like, for example, Cinderella to start off here. I'd like to meet the but I don't know what to call them now. Well, just call them the sisters. We'll call them the sisters for political correctness. I'd like to meet the sisters, and then we have the fairy godmother, and then we go to the ball, and then we meet Prince Charming, etc. We know the story. But here's the good thing: you can smush things around. For example, imagine if instead of Prince Charming meeting Cinderella at the ball, he'd had an affair with one of the sisters first. And you can really play with this. This is brilliant. So that's The Snowflake Method by Randy Ingemanson. I carried on with all these different books, and then I just started writing, and like I said, I used Scrivener and I used Vellum, and I was amazed when I sold my first book.
Awesome.
And and nothing beats your first review. Absolutely, I walked. I mean, yay! I'd done the book. That was about there on my I'm really happy level. Then I'd sold a book, and then I got a review, and it was a 5-star review, and I'm really happy with that.
Awesome. Yeah, congratulations. Do you have a separate name for your publishing? So, like a publishing company, so to speak?
Imprint?
Just for yourself, yeah.
Yes, I do. So I started off. People know me now as the Foggy Author because I have memory problems, and I write through the haze of brain fog. Hence the sign.
Yeah.
But it wasn't always like that. It wasn't just me and Hoggy. Instead, I was British Books, a fun, interesting name based on my name, my first name, Brett, Brett, and the location that I live and I was born in. So Great Britain, British Books, and because of that, that is the name of my business. And so anytime you open one of my books, you might think, oh, this is from the Foggy Author, but you'll actually see a little blurb, a little logo in there, which looks like 2 small books. Let me just show you. Yeah. There you go. It looks like 2 small books on top of each other with a little bookmark. And that's British Books.
Yeah. That's so nice. And that's a fun wordplay that you can easily use. Yeah.
Oh, I'm all about wordplay. One of my favourite things I like to do is make up words. In Time Clones Book 1, I created a pair of contact lenses, which go dark in the sun and help you see better during low light, and I call them luminettes. And the reason why I call them luminettes, lumen is Latin for light, and lunettes is French for glasses. So I love wordplay.
Yeah. Well, going from the wordplay, you need to be really creative for that. Let's go into your writing process. You already said you are the Foggy Author. You have a little bit of problems with your brain. If you want to talk about it, what causes the brain fog for you? How did it get started?
I don't have any problems talking about this. It's one of the first things I usually tell people as soon as I meet them, because 9 times out of 10 I'll be talking through a conversation and I'll forget something. And the main reason that my brain fog is so prominent is because my brain works way too fast. I developed epilepsy at a young age, and I've had lots of problems with my brain working too fast. And a lot of the time, if I'm on my own, I don't tend to forget things because I don't need to speak about them. It's when I start to open my mouth and I've got words on the tip of my tongue, I'm like, oh no, what's that name of that thing? I was only talking to somebody the other day, and I was mentioning green round things on a plate. I meant peas, but I could not, for the life of me, remember what it was. So that's what happens. I don't have seizures, but sometimes my brain just gets overloaded because there's a whole load of other stuff whizzing around there. And it just sits there and says, nope, don't want that. And I forget stuff.
Yeah. That's not an easy thing. I mean, I have post-COVID, and before that, I could do all kinds of things, and sometimes I'll also do multiple things at once. And I am native Dutch, so English for me is a second language. And I was writing in English, and I'd have moments where I didn't know the word in Dutch, but I did know it in English. And then I got post-COVID, and things changed so much. That was, forgetting words, but also memory loss, and things like that. And now, when I can't find a word, I can't find it in both languages. And I'm like,
oh no!
yeah. And the biggest problem is I'm writing in English. So then you're like, yeah, I know what it looks like. You know what? I put it in brackets and I put down the whole description, which may be 2 or 3 lines. And at some point I will find the word for it.
And then you just sit there, delete all the bits and bobs and put one word in. I know.
Exactly.
I have exactly the same thing. My manuscripts have edit, fix, and I don't remember the word for this, but it's a round thing that you stick in your mouth. I was like, oh, okay, fine, fair enough.
Oh yeah.
Your English is incredible, by the way. My stepmother was Dutch, so I didn't learn many usable Dutch words. I know a lot of Dutch swear words, but that was about it.
Those are often the things people learn first. Yes.
Well, they seem to be said quite a lot.
Yep.
Yeah.
And sometimes I read things from other people, and they are abbreviations or English words, and I'm like, yeah, you shouldn't say that when you're in the Netherlands. And they're like, why?
Oh, because
people
it
won't
means
respond to that
different.
well.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah. So you said how you do it in your manuscripts. Indeed, write the description and you'll find the word later on. How does the brain fog affect your whole writing process? What steps do you take to maybe not get into it, or when you get into it, how do you get out? Things like that.
Well, when I first started, I was all over the place. I didn't know. I knew how to write, but I didn't know there were rules. I didn't know there were, I really suck at the rules for writing. I quite often see somebody will sit there and say, "Write what you know," and everybody will argue, and I just finish the whole conversation with one sentence: "I write time travel." And but yeah,
same.
But the process these days is actually not that bad because I've got a lot more things in place. Now I'm writing I'm around 5th book now, and I'm starting to get into the swing of things. And developing systems that work for me are super important. And the simpler it is, the easier it is to remember. So a minute ago we were talking about if you get stuck in the middle of a piece of text and you can't remember the word, you just go, right, I'll describe it and I'll fill it in later. However, sometimes I do quite often still forget stuff. For example, I often forget the process steps of writing a book. And the reason why I'm going to be able to rattle these off now is because I'm actually reading them from a text file I've written. And my processes are ideas, brainstorming, outlining. I write. I do the first edit, which is my second draft, which is a developmental edit. Then I do a line edit where I go through and check to make sure all the words are correct, and then I do the proofreading and copywriting. There's a chance for me to stop while people are doing the beta reading. There's formatting, there's publishing, and then the hardest part is marketing. And if I forget any of these steps, here's the best thing: I go onto my website, because it's really boring every single week telling people, oh, I've been writing. But on my website, I have these bar graphs that tell people how far through each step I have. And if I forget which step I'm supposed to be doing next, I look at my website, I'm like, oh yeah, I've got 100% on that now. Now I'm on this section. Boom, there you go. And my study, oh my, I have Post-it notes everywhere. Honestly, I have a wall next to me. It's covered in Post-it notes.
Oh, wow.
With all sorts of different bits and bobs. And I do something that I created a little while ago. I call it stickies. Okay. So I have yellow Post-it notes for all the tasks that I do during the week, the ones that will further my career. And then I have blue ones for those jobs that need doing but don't further my career. And during a working week, my intention is to do more yellow tasks than blue ones. And then on my weeks off, or my days off, do more blue ones than yellow ones. And it's great because I then read them out in my fog log every single week, which is my my catch-up, my video that tells people how far along I am, shows them what's been going on in the last week. And I'll read those out. I'll be like, oh, I did this week, and I did this. Oh, we don't need to read those blue ones. Well, I do this. And that's how I do it to catch up. So
Awesome. That's an excellent way to deal with things. Yeah. I have to say, I still am looking for a way that really works for me. It's not easy. But I also find that's one of the things of post-COVID, I think. When I've had a creative session, writing or world building, things like that, at some point the session can be really awesome, and then I have a few days in which my brain just doesn't want to cooperate anymore. And then, that's hard.
I get that. But here's the thing. This is not a race. You do not have to sit there, keep going and going and going, because otherwise I've seen too many people burn out because they feel they must get out 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 words a day. I'm lucky if I do that a week.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. If you imagine your brain like a glass of water, if you're constantly typing and typing and typing, your water level's going down and down and down.
Yeah.
And your brain just stops and it's like, oh no, I don't know what to do. Here's what to do. Fill it back up. Yeah. Go, enjoy yourself. Do something that's not writing. Do something that's going to give you ideas, that's going to give you all sorts of kapow moments, or even just go for a sleep or a walk or something like this. You might go to you might see something funny on a bus. You might see something rather upsetting in a cafe. You might sit there and think, why on earth am I walking 17 dogs? Let's put that in a book. And the best thing is, because of that, I do a lot of this. I take a pen and a piece of paper with me everywhere I go, and when I want to, jot them down, no problem. And in a similar sort of way, most authors will find that they're getting ideas for the next book and another book and another book.
Exactly. Yeah.
I have a book. And so in my book, I write all my ideas with a title. Oh, I think I might call it this, or I'll just have a project title. And then I go, oh, that'd be a great idea. That'd be a great idea. And then if it's another book, brilliant, no problem. And just get it out of your head
Yeah.
Concentrate on what you're doing with something I call a bullet outline, and it's great because you don't get lost, and you know where you're going forwards. And this book, when you finish that, the book you're on, the work in progress you're on, and it's up and ready, and you're up ready for the next one, you're not faced with loads of problems staring at a blank screen because you've got loads of stuff in this book.
Yeah.
Just do it. It's brilliant.
I do a similar thing indeed. Besides my main series and the prequel to the main series, I have 2 other series planned, or rather, I have the ideas for the series and the standalone. They all play in my made-up world, Tergne. But yeah, it's indeed just jot down the ideas and then move on and go forth with your writing again. And like now I'm writing Go Fly, which is a work in progress title. And I find things that will influence not only the main story, but also the other series. And then I'm like, okay, I need to make those notes, and I need to make sure that I've got them in those other stories as well. And then I'll just continue writing. And one thing that you just said, the bullet line outline, that's intriguing to me because before post-COVID, I was able to just write and I didn't need an outline. And now I have indeed a sort of a bullet outline or just a few sentences that says, okay, that has to happen in that chapter, and then I can go on. So yeah, it's interesting to hear that you do that as well in your books. Yeah.
There are, from what I know, 3 types of writers. One they call pantsers or discovery writers. They sit there, they let the ideas gestate in their brain, and they just write furiously until smoke comes off their pencils. You've got others who sit there and go, right, well, I need a list, and I need a list, and I need it, and this list gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And you sit there and go, let's use the previous experience, the previous idea. The princess and the prince and the sisters, and you sit there and you smush things in between, and you start to put more detail in, and then you find yourself doing something called world building, where you sat there trying to describe how what all these characters are like, because people sit there and they think, oh, you're a writer, and how do you keep track of all your people? I don't. I write it down, and each one has very similar. Americans call them a resume. We call them a CV in a curriculum vitae in the UK, and you write down a little CV of each character, so that you know in future you can write what's going on with so and so. Otherwise, you get your reader reading, oh, that person lives in Kistowich. Wait, hang on a minute. It said they talked about living in New Haven when they were younger. That's what? Huh?
Exactly.
So I use something I call the bullet outline. Because when I'm tired, I forget so much more. And it sometimes gets to the point where I just have to stop because I've forgotten what I just wrote. And that's rubbish. Thankfully, I created this bullet outline. I created my version of the bullet outline, which helps me to know exactly where I'm based. And in a similar way as a checklist, you put things in the right order, and then once you've written that section, tick it off, and you know where you are in the next one. Great, no problem. So I've smushed mine together with the 3-act story method, and also used some of the snowflake method, and this massive tick list It's no mean feat. Sometimes it can. I'm giving 12 days to this tick list, this a bullet outline for my next book, because and by the time I've actually done this, I will pretty much almost written the book. I just need to expand on it. And I just tick it off. I move on to the next section. I can have a brain off day. I can I can go on holiday, come back a week later and be like, oh, that's where I am. I can go out. There can be an emergency. There could be any sort of experience that stops you from writing. And then you pick straight back up, and it's like talking to an old friend you haven't spoken to in years. You just, oh yeah, how's so and so, and you just do it, and it's great.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it certainly does. There was a hint that you said way earlier that you are interested in other genres.
I am.
What genres in particular are you interested in? Let me put it that way.
Wow. I absolutely love. Well, I love science fiction, as you can tell. I've grown up with all sorts of different science fiction, Doctor Who, Blake's Seven, Battlestar Galactica, Star Trek, E.T., Tron, Terminator, Star Wars, the lot. And if I had to give a reason why I love sci-fi so much, it would probably be because I inherited it from my mum. She was always watching stuff like that, so it's probably in my genes. But I also believe I inherited my love of poetry and my love of murder mysteries from my father, because he absolutely loved. He's a problem solver, and he loved watching things like Poirot and Sherlock Holmes. The high functioning detectives. You sit there and think, hang on a minute, how does that work? My worry is, would I be able to remember enough to be able to write something like that? But here's the thing. I don't need to have to worry. I just write it. And then if I don't like it, I'll rewrite it. Yeah. And I'll just carry on. So I would like to bring out more poetry books. I enjoy doing funny poetry. In fact, I wrote a murder mystery poem. Would you like to hear it?
Yeah, let's hear it.
This poem I wrote as a murder mystery poem. I call it The Neat Detective. A knock on the door and the light switch clicks on. What the hell is that racket? It's father. He's gone. What is it? Speak up, dear. What was it you said? I went to the study and found him. He's dead. They both run downstairs. Through the door crack they spy. Reginald is motionless, with a lump by his eye. Go to the telephone and call the police so that poor old Reginald can soon rest in peace. Step back, stand clear, now please, today. We must preserve the evidence and keep it this way. The neat and tidy detective, with a job that he loves, inserted his hands into some forensic gloves. He dusted for prints around the windows and door. He bagged up the mobile he found on the floor. He set up the camera and adjusted the zoom, then took lots of pictures of the entire room. Locked from within. What a curious case. The detective just looked at us, puzzled look on his face. Back at the police station, a crew became ready. The same M.O. of the killer, the man they named Teddy. That's it, we got it. Finally, some proof. That sneaky little whatnot left blood on the roof. The doorbell went ding, and nobody came. So the police used a ram, knocked the door off its frame. He's gone out of the window and he's starting to run. I'm too old for this. It's no longer fun. The detective aimed and pointed the laser, and 50,000 volts exited the taser. You're nicked, my son, said the happy gumshoe. We've got the proof. This is now all on you. You got nothing, copper, was all Teddy could say. The handcuffs tightly clicked. Take him away. He set up the tape recorder and pressed on record. Present are myself and Detective McCord. We've got proof this time, Teddy. You're going away. I reserve my right to silence, and I got nothing to say. I want my solicitor. Please send him right here. I've got a little something to say in his ear. Hello there, Detective. I am his lawyer. I've been waiting for an hour inside your small foyer. Jeff, you got to tell him what happened last night. The detective's eyes narrowed. The lawyer said, Teddy, you're right. My client is innocent, and I had some proof on my phone. But Reginald stole it and then took it home. We'd been tracking the killer and eventually found proof that the killer was Reginald. He admitted it on the roof. We recorded it all, the entire confession. He admitted that killing was now his obsession. We hid, but he found us and swung a large hammer. That blood's from my client, the lawyer started to stammer. It was really, that's so scary, but we managed to flee because Reginald got hit by a big angry bee. He had a deadly reaction that started blowing up his eye. Check with your forensics. I swear it's no lie. Members of the press, I am pleased to report the serial killer has finally been caught. So please tell the public that everything's sorted. And make sure you spell my name right when it's been reported. Teddy is innocent. The newspapers say the killer's been caught. So have a nice day.
Awesome. Well, I think this is an excellent ending to our interview in our show. I love it. Thank you so much.
It's been brilliant. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. I had a lot of fun. Was there anything that you wanted to include that we haven't talked about yet?
Oh wow. Well, if anybody would like to come visit the channel, look for the Foggy Author on YouTube. If you're struggling with brain fog yourself, it's a good place to come and learn all sorts of different tips, hints, and tricks. And you'll meet Hoggy, who is my pink productivity timer. You'll find more about him. He's in every single video each week. Yes, it's a bit of fun. He's my mascot. He's also very, very underpaid. But here's the thing. Behind it all, each author needs a timer because we tend to usually work on our own. And for that reason, you need to have deadlines. You need to set them. So yes, come join me on my YouTube channel. Feel free to check out thefoggyauthor.com, my website, or britishbooks.com, although it's not very updated much. It just sort of points you to thefoggyauthor.com.
Okay.
And all I'll have to say there is we'll see you again sometime in the future.
Perfect. Dear audience, the link to Brad's channel is in the show notes below, as well as the link to his sites. So be sure to check it out. And right now, thank you so much, Brad, for this interview. I had a lovely time with you. And I'm looking forward to featuring your third book in the Time Clone series.
Ooh.
So yeah, keep us posted on how things are going. And for everyone, if you are wondering how Brett deals with being a 4K author, check out his channel and check out his website for all the information and for the hoggy shenanigans.
Do you have a writing event, a book release, recent or upcoming, or a crowdfunding campaign for a upcoming book release? Be sure to fill out the form that is linked in the show notes below, and we might feature your upcoming book. The next edition of our show is around May 30th. If you'd like your news to be featured in that show, be sure to submit it at the latest on Sunday, May 24th. Any news that arrives after May 24th will be included in the next show in June. Hala and I want to thank Brad for his interview and Shanon for giving her news about her latest book release. Now, spring is a strange season. One day you'll have 20 degrees Celsius, you can go out in a shirt and shorts. The sun is shining brightly and you have clear blue skies. And the next day, the night is frosty and you're wearing your winter clothes again. These last days here have been cold, and as you can see, I'm wearing my winter sweater again because, yeah, it's cold right now. And that brings me to the question, how do the seasons treat your characters in your books? Check out all the writing sprints that are upcoming. wish you a wonderful week, and we'll see you in the next one.